All right, guys, this is an interesting mashup. Today we're going to take a look at NECA's Raphael as Frankenstein's monster. Now, what it is basically is, I'm assuming it's the movie version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Raphael from NECA, mixed with the classic, iconic, legendary Frankenstein's monster. I call him Frankenstein, but let's be exact. Anyhow, so if you mash these two together, I guess that's what they're thinking, you are going to get Frankenstein's monster. Now, the box is really, really cool if you are a collector that displays it with the box in the background. I like how they add the figure here in a nice showpiece. They also tease Leo as the Hunchback. Michelangelo was the Mummy. I'm really excited for Mikey. He's my favorite, but I'm also curious to see what Donnie's going to be. And then April is the bride of Frankenstein. And his shell opens up. I don't think we got to look at Mikey yet, but I'm hoping he's a lot of the Mummy. Now, this guy's pretty cool. He has a neat looking back to the box, just to give you an idea for those that display him in the box. There you go. All right. Got really cool red lightning back there. So again, the idea, put these two together and you're going to get this guy. And he's definitely an interesting pick. I will say the prices have gone up. NECA was around $29.99 with their more, originally they were $24.99. They went up a year and a half ago to $29.99. And then recently they've gone up to $36.99. Now, with a regular figure, they come with alternate heads, accessories, like crazy. So a $40 NECA, it's not going to be too bad. They'll likely add a couple more trinkets to, incentivize the purchase. But this guy's a little bit bare for the $30 price point. He's pretty cool. He only comes with 2 weapons and then 4 additional hands, so 6 hands in total. They've got kind of Frankenstein's monster type expressive hands. You have fists for left and the right. And then you have a weapon holding hand. So not too bad. Here's the other fist. And some good work with the stitches and staples and whatnot. Now the weapon is neat. I will say, this is a tricky one. A lot of NECA figures, the fingers are pliable, so you can move them to get the weapons in. I could not get this weapon in the figure. I mean, maybe there's a way. Man, if you fight it, you might be able to. But a simple trick is, if you don't have one, get a hairdryer from the dollar store, and you'll use it frequently because you can warm up the limbs to keep figures from breaking. One thing people don't realize, just a little tip, people get stiff joints when they go to bend the figure, their arms break. Like on Predators, it's a really common thing. And they don't realize this, but what that's from, among other things, like, for example, paint drying, because they paint it all separate, and then they assemble the figure if the paint dries. But one of the biggest culprits of this is the gloss or the finish on top of the figure. When it's all done, especially the Predators, they'll put a finish on it when it's assembled. And you can tell because there's no finish when I strip them. There's no finish underneath in the joints. So what's happening is the finish is sitting on top of the joint and it's acting like a glue in a way. It's clear, you might not even see it. Sometimes you can, scrape a little line there and the arms will bend a lot easier. But with this guy, I didn't have too much trouble. But get a hairdryer and definitely, where's his? Oh, here it is. Definitely hit this for 10 seconds. Right now, you can't do I'm squeezing the hell out of his fingers and you can't do anything. I should hit him with the hairdryer and show you what I mean. I am squeezing. This is rock solid. I'm going to give you a demonstration because I did it for this and it actually fits really nice in his hand. You have the sharp part of this lightning bolt sai. Really cool, but he's got a flat, wide flat top. and then it comes down sharp like a single-sided blade. But really cool, and it sits in his hand real nice with his thumb just kind of off to the side. I imagine you could possibly put it in a, where it's like this instead, but I think it rests so nice with his finger there this way. It just looks really cool. Anyhow, I'm going to hit this with the hairdryer to give you an example and show you once more. Look. I'm squeezing that. These are solid. I kicked the camera. Now these are pretty thick, so I had to go about 20 seconds instead of the usual. I'm barely touching it now. Usually it's about 10 seconds with a hairdryer. You can use water, but then you got to get hot water. You got to let it soak. You got to dry it off. Literally, I counted to 23 seconds, and his fingers are pliable. They'll stay pliable for a few more seconds, and then it'll cool, and it'll cool harden. So you can open up his fingers, you can get it situated, put it however you want, and then when his hands cool, it'll be pretty much on there. You can open them up a little bit and blow on them, and his hand will cool big enough so you can remove this now, instead of it being cooled shut to where it was hard getting in and out. That's something you can do. I'll leave it in his hand. We'll have him displayed with the weapon. Speaking about taking his arms off, just gently twist a little and pull. It's in there decently, but they come out. Should be no problem. The pegs are kind of thick. Be careful bending them because these are pretty stubborn at first. But he looks really good once you have his two size in his hand. Now I will say also with his size, this is my biggest con. They appear to go here. That's where they are in the box. Now the reason being is this chain goes around to the back of the shell, and then there's a little crack in his shell here, and it looks like the chains are supposed to kind of sit there. This chain is on around the middle of his body, and there's another crack in the shell here, and I imagine the crack is to get the chain on there. Okay, so then the idea, I'm assuming, the idea is to put the weapon like this. I will never do that. Now this is hard plastic, and this is more of a soft, the overlay is more of like a softer vinyl, and that I just see if he falls down, it's a wrap. This is a really lightweight, kind of fragile feeling plastic, hard and stiff. I can see this breaking. I mean, there's no way I'm going to put them on the shelf and set these size in there. I don't know. I'm just not doing it. I can see that being, as soon as that falls, if this hits, it's going to just snap, or this will break off. I'm not even doing it. But I think that's how it goes. That's how it looks on the box. I'm just going to leave his size either on his hands or next to him, or if I ever make a diorama, a little mini one, put his size somewhere. Raph is, I don't even know. Raph is around just what? Just over 6 inches? Wow, just at 6 inches. And you've got him just under 7 inches, and then Frankie just under 8 inches. Yeah. So 6, 7, and 8. Is that right? Now, let's see how he looks. Let's pop these off so we're not messing about, but I will show you. They look really good. They are pretty much molded in this silver, and then they have, it looks like a little bit of weathering. It might have a layer of paint on it as well. It might not be straight molded. Yeah, I don't think it's straight molded. I think it's kind of like a gray or a black mold, and then silver paint with weathering over it. And I'll take this off so I can show you. Here's the handle. Anyhow, next up, we'll pop on these fisted hands, and we'll leave them on when we review this guy. Now, let's start with the head down. He's got a cool, interesting head. What I love is the bandana. Now, the original Ninja Turtles had the hard plastic bandanas in the back. There's a little bit of, they're pliable a little bit, but it's stiff plastic or vinyl, whatever. Stiff enough to where if I go like this and bend it in half, I think it'll snap eventually. Not snap like a clean snap, but start breaking away type of snap. However, when you hit them with the hairdryer, it gets real rubbery and you can kind of position them. But for the most part, it's definitely a different material because this bandana is really soft. And it's that type that is similar to the overlay bodies that they use on NECA figures. And it's a real soft vinyl feel that I love. I love how this hangs, and I wish they would release the movie Turtles, maybe with I don't know, just a kind of a different style paint job, maybe doing extra long bandanas like this as alternate heads, just something. Because they sell out like crazy and people are still looking for them anyway. So do something with them. Anyhow, here's his face with his teeth showing, a nice layer of gloss around his mouth, some black drool, glossy black drool there. And he's got a fat looking face, but when you turn him to the side, it's also got like the skinny Frankenstein look to it, you know? Or that top hat looking to his head. He's got this bolt, looks like it's going right through his neck. That's friggin' awesome. And then his suit, his little Frankenstein suit with a plate there, a gauge here. And then the chain going around his waist. These, I don't know, man, handles are for his weapons, but they also keep his chain up. And then you have his knee pads, hindering the leg movement quite a bit. His leg articulation is awesome. This is the new hip articulation that NECA's been releasing the last couple years. That is fantastic. They need to keep this because it's the best that I think for the price range on the market. Way better than even McFarlane Toys, and who else have I seen? That's it around this price range. And then his feet are the only thing that's just plain. It's pretty blocky, not much there. But again, it's kind of like Frankenstein mixed with the Ninja Turtle, Asian shoes. Those, those plain black ones, but they put it in the shape of a square like Frankenstein, and they added the Ninja Turtle two-toed look. He's got nice patchwork on him. Now, one thing I did do, I want to mention this modification. Originally, when I got him out of the package, I'll show his back off too, and then we'll talk about the mod, actually. His shell is awesome. It's all cracked, broken up. He has a gauge here that has wires running to the front, one in his neck and one on his chest. Pretty cool. He's got this other handle here. Nice paint job, nice cracks in there. A city sewer, whatchamacallit, manhole cover, and it's bolted on. It makes up part of the shell that was broken off. I love that look. Originally, when they showed it off, I actually didn't even think that's what it... I didn't even know why it was there. I was like, oh, because it was just like a picture like this or something. But when I got him out of the box, I'm like, oh, his shell was broken, and they replaced it with a manhole cover. That is friggin' awesome. I love that. So yeah, a broken bit of a shell. Although it would be cool to have a Ninja Turtle with a bit of a broken shell, and you can, I don't know. That's more of like a zombie. That would be cool. A zombie Ninja Turtle. Anyhow, same thing with the original Ninja Turtles. These pads, the knee pads, when you go to bend the knee, these chains are a bit of a bother. They don't quite sit tight on here. But when you go to bend the knee, this pad is going to get in the way. I think if you take the pad off, you got a good amount of articulation. We'll be able to tell in a second. not with the leg, but with the arm, because it's pretty much just this. I mean, you're not going to get him in ninja poses because it's supposed to be a Frankenstein Raph, so I'm not really that bothered by it. But his arms are a little bit hindered more than I expected. Now this is untouched, it's unmodified. This is how it comes out of the box. So you straighten his arm, and then when you go to bend his arm, you can get this to slip under this articulation point, and this slips above it, so above that, so you can get a decent bend. That's as good as it gets. Now I wonder if we move this, I don't think I'm going to be able to move it, if we'll get better articulation, because I took this off the peg. There's a peg here, and I took it off the arm. I should have left it off. But when you'll get a little bit more articulation. Even what I did here is I took a little bit out of the bicep, and I took this pad off, and I scraped out the inside under here, making the pad thinner. So because it's thinner, there's a lot more, it's a lot more pliable than it was before. That's just something you can do to modify some of these NECAs to get a little bit more articulation. This guy isn't too bad though. If you warm him up, you can probably get him in a pose where he's, I don't know, if you need him to bend his arms. And then when the material cools, it'll cool in that spot, so it'll be good enough for you to return them back and forth to that articulation point. But if you find it very stiff, you can modify them or just hit them with the hair dryer, and there you go. Anyhow, I was only going to throw this on for a quick 5-minute video, but he's actually a lot cooler than I expected. I just picked him up because I was picking something up at the store, and I saw him, and he was rather new-ish, and I thought, you know what, he'd be a cool one to take a look at. And he's going to look really cool with the other mashups, with his brothers, April. I hope they do a Splinter and a Shredder. I think it would be crazy cool to see what a Shredder would look like. I don't even know what they would do for him. Anyhow, so this is the Raphael as the Frankenstein's monster. Did I show you the two hands? In case I didn't show you the zombie hands, here's the one. But I did show you the two closed-fisted hands, right? And his articulation, you get a good amount up and down. Same thing they did on Frankenstein, where it's articulated at the top and at the bottom. And you get a decent side to side. Careful that doesn't whack and snap off there. If you push too hard, you shouldn't need to get much. This is pliable, so you can move the bandana out of the way. But you get a good amount of head movement. And then his arms, it's a bit stiff. His arms don't quite go up all the way, but they do go back around the shell and then forward as much as you need, and then up. He bends at the elbow, gets a little bit of a bend. Here's the modified elbow. You can get a decent bend even without it being modified, maybe a 90. And then his waist, I don't think there's anything in his waist. Yeah, I think there's something under this, but it's so thick it's not going to work. You can have his legs go out a pretty good amount. Bend at the knee just a little bit, get him in a walking pose, and then his ankles will articulate a little. And he has a little bit of rocker that's going to position him this way instead of a, you know, it's a rocker with a movement instead of just an ankle twist. All right, and there's, yeah, that's it. It's a side-to-side rocker blocked by this. So you're only going to get that as a max or that as a max. But that's probably all you need if you go for, you know, some type of pose like that. But there's Raph as Frankenstein's monster now hitting Target. Yeah, I think it was Target. Also, check it out, Big Bad Toy Store. And don't forget, issue 5 and 6 of my comic, Doomsday Kingdom. Go to doomsdaykingdom.com, up for pre-order right now. and my main channel, Make a Path Presents, a series called Flaw vs. Awe Review. Check out the new Scream video. Check out the newish Halloween from '78. I did Friday the 13th, 1 to 5. We got Halloween 2018 coming, Friday Part 6, Halloween Kills, and a bunch more. Maybe even some more Screams if those pick up. All right, thoughts and opinions about Frankenstein's beautiful monster turtle here. Put those down below. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Wait, that's the other channel. Thanks for coming by the review room. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I think that's the old saying. Bye. All right, I'll shut up after this, but I just want to mention, because I did notice, I don't mind this as much. I might honestly trim this nub out. That originally they glued this to keep everything in place, keep it looking nice. But for me, I posed them on the shelf, and if they look good, I leave them there. So I'm thinking about taking that nub out, do a little trial run, leave this as a floating piece. So when I do the articulation, if I need to, move this out of the way, get him articulated however I need, and then have this piece where I can move it wherever it needs to be to look like the elbow. I think that's something I might do. I understand why they would glue it into position and keep it like that, but when it's your collection and you want to be able to have them posed up, making some of these mods isn't gonna take anything away from the visual, because it's like those, what are those, Figmas or whatever, where it's all like a bunch of pieces that easily fall off, and you're basically like building it while you pose it, you know. And then when you get it in position, it's fine. I think I might end up doing that, but I just wanted to showcase that. I know it looks like shit now, but the idea is, you know, you get them in these, it's weird because it's a little elbow, but you bend the first one and the second one, or you can just put them flat down, straighten this out, and then just bend this one here. Anyway, I don't know, just a little bit of, you know, just an idea. All right, I'm out of here. I notice my daughter's coming to bother me. What's up, hunchback? Look, Leo's a hunchback in this one. Why are you walking in here like a hunchback, bro?